All right. Despite the cut lip, let's talk about the preseason week 2 games in which teams rank where. Oh, sorry. Sadly, it's still preseason, but at least it's football, right? So starting off, I'd say the best game of the week would be the Lions and Chiefs. Not as good as last year's week 1, of course, given that it's preseason, but it was still kind of a fun game, and the Lions did end up winning it. So it's always good seeing those two play each other. Second, though, I'd say the Buccaneers and Jaguars. Sadly, it was more low scoring than I'd hoped. It was the game I was most looking forward to. It was still good, but it was a bit lower scoring than we'd hoped. Week three, I mean game three, Cardinals and Colts. It was all right. And then Cowboys and Raiders. Cowboys didn't choke this one away. Um, Seahawks and Titans. It was a good game. It was close. But I put it a little lower just because I was a bit mad my Seahawks lost. After that, probably Chargers Rams. Seeing an LA game is always good. This one was a bit too low scoring, however. After that, Commanders Dolphins was a good, decent game. A little low scoring, a little boring, but it's preseason, so what are you gonna do? Eagles Patriots. It was good seeing Joe Milton again. They didn't get the win this time, but at least it was a relatively close game. Packers Broncos. This is now we're getting into the bad games territory. This one was pretty bad. It was only decent because Bo Nix got to play at the start and had a pretty good first couple of drives. One touchdown, almost two, if he hadn't stepped over the line. Saints and 49ers, this one would be high on the list, but I was kind of mad that the Niners pulled it off, so it's a little lower. Then probably Falcons and Ravens. Yeah, just kind of boring, kind of dull, kind of low scoring. Bengals Bears, again, it was a blowout, but at least it was kind of cool seeing Caleb Williams play. Definitely the worst games of the week, though, that I recommend you avoid at all costs would be Vikings and Browns, Giants and Texans. Giants, it was just disappointing. Their defense didn't live up to what they did against Detroit last week. And then the worst game, though, would either be Steelers, Bills, or Jets and Panthers. I think I'll give it to Jets and Panthers, but I feel like they were both very low scoring, not even good defense games, just bad offense. So avoid those games if you haven't watched them. So let's move on to our power rankings. 32, we still got the Panthers. Even in preseason, they are the worst team. Sorry, Carolina. I'm going to swap the Chargers and Browns. I got the Browns at 31 now and the Chargers at 30. Still got the Falcons at 29. I'm going to drop the Commanders down to 28. Steelers stay at 27. Now let's move the Raiders down. They were much higher, but they did not look as good as they did last week against the Vikings. So I got them at 26. And then I got the Bengals at 25. They were in my top 10 last week, but they did not play as well this week. And 24, I got the Cardinals, the best of the winless teams. They don't look bad. They just don't look. They don't look good. Then you could mix and match these. 23, I got the Titans, Dolphins at 22, and the Eagles at 21. These are just three teams that, despite their 2-0 preseason record, they didn't look too impressive. If you're a fan of these teams, just keep in mind that it is preseason at least. But definitely hoping that they don't look this way at the start of the season. It kind of looks the way the Eagles did last year, where you were winning games, but didn't look good doing it, so it didn't fill you with confidence. You were just happy about the W's. So we'll see how these teams do once the season does begin. 20, I got the Seahawks. Unfortunately, a big drop from where I had them last week at 7, but my team just didn't perform like we did last week. Number 19, I got the Bills, much higher than before, mostly just because of their defense. Their offense didn't do much against the Steelers, but at least their defense really held Justin Fields. Didn't look very. Even Russell Wilson looked pretty rough in that game. At 18, I got the Giants. Sadly, their defense didn't live up to the hype. I think I had these guys at like 3 in the previous week. No, I think I had them in the top 5. I had them at like 4 or 5. So definitely disappointing there. 17, I got the Bucks. Another big drop. They didn't look as good this week. They beat the Lions last week, but I guess you can only beat one cat team. This team, the Jaguars, kind of knocked them out of the park this week. 16, I got the Patriots again. No change, just kind of middle of the pack, even though they didn't win. But I feel like they're just a very solid middle of the pack meh team. 15, the Saints. Sadly, these guys are much lower. I think I had them in like the top 4 or 5 last week, but they did not look as good against the Niners. And of course, I got the Niners at 14 for beating them. Much better than last week. 13, I got the Packers. A bit disappointing. They were my 3rd-ranked team last year. But yeah, they didn't perform well at all against Bo Nix and the Broncos. The only scores they put up were a safety. Number 12, I got the Cowboys. A lot better than last week. They actually held on to their lead this time. They didn't choke it. It came close, though. It almost looked like they would. The Ravens at 11, about the same as last week. I got the Chiefs at 10 and the Lions at 9. 2 teams that a lot better this week. Lions, I guess, go one above them for barely getting the win. Number 8, I got the Texans. And 7, I got the Colts. 2 teams that hopefully will be very competitive with each other going into the regular season. Number 6, let's move on to the undefeated teams. I got the Jaguars, the Jets up at number 5. Their offense wasn't too good, but I like their defense. Number 4, I got the Rams. Number 3, I got the Vikings. 2 teams a bit better than last week. But the top 2 teams, I'll put the Broncos at number 2 and the Bears at number 1. I know we got Bo Nix in the thumbnail and everything, but sorry, Broncos. You had the best week, but I still got to put the Bears above you just because I wasn't happy with how many penalties you guys had. And the fact that Sean Payton didn't go for it at all on 4th down was a bit surprising. That you kind of want that practice in for preseason. But anyways, if you're a Broncos fan and a believer, hopefully you're hoping you're looking this good during the regular season. But we'll see when we get there.